My duty here today is to bring you news from the Liberian National Infrastructure Conference Planning Committee that I'm the coordinator for, and the Minister of Public Works, Honorable Roland Lafayette Giddens, is the chair, supported by other line ministries and agencies. Why the conference? So this conference, as we are at a very transformative junction for our national development, this conference is going to address infrastructure challenges to unlock economic and social and environmental benefits. So what the conference did an analysis of the Africa Agenda for 2063, the SDGs goals that will end in 5 years, and the arrest agenda for inclusive development, and try to align each items with those agendas. If you are familiar with the African Agenda 2063, you will know that aspiration wants a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development, and we tie it to SDG 9 and SDG 13 that said industrial innovation and infrastructure, enhancing infrastructure for economic development and human well-being, and SDG 13 that said climate action, integrating climate resilience into infrastructure development. So most of what we do now will always be linking it with climate resilience. And for the arrest agenda, we have roads, agriculture, and sanitation. For aspiration 2, we have integrating continental world-class infrastructure. SDG 11 says we must make our cities sustainable. So last I was here, I told you that one of the discussions we'll be having is spatial development in urban cities and the housing. So you see that we are totally aligned. And I think from what I heard from the Minister of Youth and the Minister of Information is that Education Ministry is doing a survey to see how they can make the teachers' life more sustainable by providing whatever social infrastructure they can provide. And this conference seeks to address that, how we can utilize our local resources or modalities for international financing to support development for social infrastructure that includes schools, hospitals, as well as housing facilities. On aspiration 6 for the African Agenda for Transformation, we have development that provide people-driven, actually addressing youth and gender empowerment, and education and housing and the rule of law under that. But we'll be looking at buildings, how we can make our buildings more environmental friendly by using green, gray, and green architecture. So Public Works is doing a lot of reform, but we have to sit down with some experts, international partners, international experts, for us to discuss how this is possible and outline a role plan at the end of this program to outline how we can roll out these development agendas for our national development. So this, as you're aware, we said to you the last time, the program is for 5 days. And highlight of the day, the opening ceremony will be done by His Excellency, the President, Ambassador Joseph Neiman Bweka Sr., and he will be giving a keynote address based on our theme, rebranding, rebuilding Liberia through reconstruction. Rebranding, rebuilding Liberia through reconstruction. Rebranding, rebuilding Liberia through reconstruction. We are on the process of rebranding Liberia. Liberia has been known for a lot of negative things in the media and on national and international scene. So we are going to rebrand Liberia, and we are going to see how we can rebuild Liberia. We are on a process. We are doing a lot of new roles through public-private partnerships and through other modalities from our international partners. So we are rebuilding a lot. So most of the construction you see happening around will be doing a lot of infrastructure development, but we are going to do that through reconstruction. That is why we say rebranding, rebuilding Liberia through reconstruction, and that is for our infrastructure development. So day 2, we said we discuss housing and it's energy. Day 2 is for energy. And you will see that the MCC Compact is mostly driven towards energy. Energy have a whole portfolio that they call it the Energy Compact 300, and that compact discusses all of the means that we need to have energy. So one of the outcomes of this infrastructure development is to come up with a book. Before the conference, we'll have a book on development for infrastructure development for the country. And we have done that for the mining sector, we did it for the road sector, we did it for the energy sector, we did it for water and sewer. And because portion of the water supply system is for public works and LWSC, so we also combine what our targets are to improve water and sanitation in rural communities. So that booklet will take into consideration all the business opportunities that you can have in Liberia when it comes to infrastructure development. So you look at energy and transport infrastructure. That means we're not looking at transportation from what we want to say transportation, people think it's only roads, and road is beyond transportation. We're talking about air, water, transportation. So transportation will include the free port of Monrovia, what we call transport days of the ports, the water, Ministry of Transport, and the civil aviation, along with the two airports, RIA and Spriggs, to sit on our panel to discuss how we can improve transportation. Utilities and telecommunication. Infrastructure cannot be discussed without utility and telecommunication. We are in a digital war, and we must look at how we can improve digital connectivity for all Liberians. How can we make sure that the woman who sits in Bogonima, in our office, we have this joke, it's for the lady that sits in Bogonima that we are working for, so we have to sit and make the 4 hours or the 8 hours count. But we go beyond the 8 hours. Because if that lady in Bogonima needs access to electricity, she needs access to water, she needs access to sanitation, she also needs access to ICT infrastructure. So it means that as a country, we must decide strategies that we can make the entire country accessible by digital network. That means I don't have to climb in a tree when I reach to Lofa to get network to call or have access to the internet. So we have to decide the modalities, have speakers, how we can boost internet connectivity throughout the nation. That is what we'll be discussing. Environment and climate change. We cannot discuss all of these things without looking at the community, the environment today. I think yesterday, the cloud got dark around 6 p.m. and it's December. Normally, the dry season starts in November. According to our old history book, by November 15, we are fully in the dry season. And because of that, we have to reorder our work and redesign our infrastructure to accommodate the ever-changing climates of the world. So it means that our design must conform to climate change. It means that our building must conform to climate change. So if we look at, when we say housing and social infrastructure, today most people build along low-lying areas, and they don't even understand the implications that it will cost them to build on low-lying areas. So you must first understand that special development will show you the flood-prone areas in Monserrado County, in Grand Bassa, that if you have to build in the areas, then your building must conform to certain norms and standards. That will be communicated. So those are the things that when we say environment and climate change, we're not just talking about, everybody clean, and EPA. EPA goes beyond just monitoring the environment consequences. It means that public works and EPA must work in an integrated approach to ensure that your money you invest can be done in a sustainable manner. And that is what we are trying to achieve at the conference, to make sure we can use an integrated front for national development. So we talk about the conference, we talk about the topics for the conference. I will tell you the objective of the conference. 1, assessing current shortcomings across sector and prioritizing projects with high impact potential. We know we have a lot of shortcomings, but how can we improve on those shortcomings if we don't analyze what they are? Looking at other regional bodies that have done, other regional countries that have done that, or other international bodies that have done that. So you first assess yourself. What am I doing wrong? And then you learn from those mistakes and try to improve on them by saying that these are the projects that we think that have high priority and high impact. For example, we hear about the Baklave Clone project. It's all part of the coastal corridor. But why is that project so important? And why is the bridge across the Kavala River connected to Ariko so important? These are all high priority projects because it means that for the trans-ECOWAS corridors, We are linking Liberia to other countries in Africa, making it accessible by roads. You and I, maybe we can afford to buy a plane ticket, but there are a lot of other people who want to do business that cannot have access to get on a plane and go. But if you have road that is accessible from here to Waterside direct, and the person can drive from Waterside and come all the way to Freeport and go through Buchanan Corridor and go straight to Ivory Coast by the southeast, the coastal corridor, it makes it easier for transportation and reduce transportation time and reduce logistic costs for you to move your goods, especially when the road is made accessible. So those are the things that we are talking about for high impact projects. Imagine what it would take for the government to invest in telecommunications sector that today you hear about Starlink being placed in schools in the rural, across Liberia. It means that if I sit in Maryland, for example, or I go to Bakersfield or go to Butuo or Ban, if I'm in a classroom, if I have access to internet, that means I have access to the rest of the world. I can go online, I can research, and I will have adequate knowledge of the subject matter that I want to pursue as a career objective. Those are the things that we are talking about for the National Infrastructure Conference. Engaging international investors and development partners to fund critical infrastructure initiatives. You know, most often when people come to you and ask you, they can ask you, what are your programs? What activities do align that we can invest in? If you don't have that, you'll be wasting your time. So you as a country must define high priority projects that you want to pursue investment in the next 5 years. That is why it's critical for, you see everybody launching their 5-year strategic plan. It's not because people want to just be on the media for announcing their strategic plan. It's because you will have a clear, defined path that people can come and look into your document and say, this is how you want to finance the road. These are critical corridors that I want to invest in. And that is what we will hope to achieve after this conference. Thirdly, highlighting innovative, climate resilient, and inclusive development projects to align with global standards. So after this conference, we hope we can get some policies and documents that will make us to be in par with, because we already told you we are aligning the outcome of these to the agenda for Africa 2063. We are aligning the outcome of this to the SDGs goal 2030. So this is not just another conference. This is to redefine the infrastructure landscape in Liberia by aligning international frameworks, leveraging regional successes, and fostering strategic partnership. The conference will serve as a blueprint for sustainable and inclusive development. And this outcome will not only address challenges, but also position Liberia as a regional leader in resilience infrastructure planning and implementation. When is this conference? Due to the President-based schedule, we had to shift the conference from December 9 to the 12th. This should have been this week, but it was postponed from January 19 to the 23rd. The venue remains the same, Gansa, Nima County at Jackie's Guest House. We had a lot of questions concerning who can attend. We invited partners, we invited other people, other stakeholders to attend the conference. And we have been having calls on the general public. We are revisiting our strategy to see if we can allow additional people from the public to attend the conference, but that will be communicated in the soonest possible time. So we hope the information we provided for the conference is beneficial to the public, because we don't want to be another news that this is just something that people want to go and just sit 5 days in Ganta discussing nothing, because that's how they normally say it. But this is not just an ordinary conference. These are things that we have taken our time to analyze and plan. So the discussion, the outcome of this conference can drive national development. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. But there are several other projects that commensurate government's effort to support these developments in the Council for Rural Development. For example, there's a project called the ACDP Project Accelerator Community Development Program at the UNDP that is financed by the Liberian government through UNDP. That project supports water and sanitation in rural communities, and currently they're doing it in 3 counties: Riverside, Bapolu, and Cape Mount. Then there's the agriculture program at the Ministry of Agriculture, supported by IFA. That program supports rural connectivity as part of the agriculture sustainability program. So Ministry of Public Works supports the Ministry of Agriculture by providing the technical assistance to the Ministry of Agriculture under the rural program to support the farmers, so farm to market road. Additionally, at the Ministry of Public Works, we have a program that is supported by the Swedish Embassy in Monrovia, and it's called the Village Access Road Program. That program, our road classification is linked into 3 categories: primary, secondary, and feeder roads. But there's a missing link. There are still people in small villages that don't have access to the feeder roads. So that program supports the feeder road, the village, to have access to the feeder road by using roads that tricycles we can put a bridge with planks and use it for tricycle to be able to move the produce from the farm to the feeder road. So those are programs. Although there are many challenges that we have, but we have programs that are being supported by other agencies that support those to help to alleviate those challenges. The second one was on, 2 questions were on special development and city planning. And I would like to tread carefully because the city government is by legislation on each county. So I will tread carefully, but I will speak as someone who once served as the National Zoning Director for the Republic of Liberia. So first thing, few weeks ago, we were at the Liberian Senate doing a public hearing on the National Zoning Law. Most people do not know the National Zoning Law was done in 1958. That I don't know how many years before I was even born. So the city of Monrovia itself was not constructed. It was not built to inhabit 1.5 million people. So we have rural to urban migration. That's why I said I'm going to do a little bit of teaching here. We have rural to urban migration because of the lack of facilities in the rural counties, or even though they have tried to upgrade these rural cities, but a lot of people move to the city capital, putting a strain on the already congested infrastructure that we have. So then you have people building in the wetlands that put a strain on the drainage system. You have people constructing illegal structures. So the new zoning law seeks to address almost all of these things by coming up with a special development map. That program is being supported by the World Bank through a project called the Liberian Urban Resilience Project. The project seeks to address 1, drainage infrastructure in Monrovia and its environment. So Monrovia is now known, there's a place called Greater Monrovia, even though it's not legislated yet, but Greater Monrovia is from St. Paul's Bridge to town all the way to Omega Market and on the RI Highway to Aratu. So it encompasses Pinsdale City, Monrovia City, and all the township that falls within their boundaries. So that program supports also 3 other additional cities to come up with special development map, rezoning map. So while we can address the issue of so on the project that the conference that I spoke about, it also seeks to address financing for old and damaged public buildings, do call Hotel Africa and other buildings. So we have, what we did at the Ministry of Public Works, we collected those drawings and tried to digitize those drawings to put it into current status, to have digital files for those drawings. So it's not that it's being left or not thought about. The process is that the person, that's the hardware person, when they ask the minister, always say, when they ask me, say, we have all these old buildings, what are we going to do with it? But you need financing to rehabilitate those buildings. And our budget is, so we can't put other that we need to do public-private partnership. That's why we're seeing there's a whole plan that we'll come up with after the conference that maybe we'll probably present as a post-conference evaluation to this body. So that is on special development, and I hope I try to address your question. But moreover, the city have a legal responsibility by the Monrovia City Corporation and the PZ City Corporation to uphold the sanity of the city. The Ministry of Public Works serves as the infrastructure arm that construct, build, and maintain government public infrastructure. But with the passing of the Decentralization Act, there are other responsibilities that lies with the local governments. While we supervise most of the development activities with other line agents, ministry agencies, and we monitor them, you also, the city government, always have the rights. So sometimes it's good to go back and research on what are the ordinances of the city government, what are the limitations, and what's the role and responsibility of the Ministry of Public Works. So having said that, thank you. And